God.
Hello, everybody. Just for Syd, and welcome back to the first 4 or more. I had to remember which one we were fucking doing. I'm recording 3 of these fucking things today, so bear with me. This is the one. My name's HSR.
My name's Chris Chrome.
I'm Syd.
And before we talk about the show, so I'm going to link just so you can skip ahead if you're not interested. I wanted to take some time to describe our grind to 1,000 subscribers contest. This is our effort to break that 1,000 marker where we can, move on to bigger and better things. And you can help us by subscribing, liking the video, leaving a comment basically about us talking about the show here, the Orville in general, or, just anything really, as long as it shows you paid attention a little bit in this video.
Tell us what else you want us to review.
That too, because
As
we're
long
coming.
as it's 11 seasons of MASH.
Yes, and we're coming to the end of the Orville. Obviously, we know the finale's already out. We're gonna get that done probably next weekend, and
we
move on
fucked
from
up.
there. So yeah,
Our bad.
Chris' schedule changed, and
My bad,
we had to
guys.
whatever. So yeah, back to the contest. For every video you like on the channel, you comment on, you'll be entered into a raffle, and it counts each like and comment combo counts as like an entry. And when we break 1,000, first place is just randomly picked is going to win $100 plus the right to request a review of a show or an album or a movie or something.
Or like 50 Europe dollars, or like
Yeah.
$1 British dollar.
However
Did I
it breaks
do that
down.
joke right?
So yeah, 100 USD. That's what we're going to base it on, or your local equivalent, depending on where you are. And
If you're in Canada, you'll get 117.
something like that. And then you can also request a specific review where you get to choose which of the squad you want to cover it. So if you're tired of hearing me talk, you can kick me off for a minute.
Please
We're
do.
giving you the power to do that.
You probably don't want me doing it because I'm going to be mean.
And on that note, so anyway, that's it. Basically, like, comment, subscribe, help us get to 1,000. Once we break 1,000, people get thingies, and life is good. As you can see, we're on the way. We're not quite there.
We're at 564.
Woot woot.
It's not that high. I think it's like 543 or something.
Yo, I'm dreaming big.
Okay. That's where it's at as we record. By the time it comes out, hopefully it's higher. And maybe it is 564.
564.
So hopefully you help us, and we can help you by giving back a little bit. And then we can turn this into an ongoing exchange over time. This is the one where we talk about TV shows.
Wait, hang on. Also, fun fact, we just hit our 150th video.
Yeah, that's came out very happen. And it was...
It came out as when this is released.
You know
it came
what?
out.
This might be the 150th. I don't know. It came out. It's over there in the corner. Whatever it is, that whatever pops up, that's
So, like,
150.
This is either 150
And it's not
or it's
150.
Mew.
Sorry, it's not
Get it?
150.
Get it?
It's actually like 158 because it was 150 for the year of 2017, which was a personal objective of mine that we have achieved in December, very close to the end, which is dope. Next year we're gonna have.
158. It's fucking Chikorita.
Yeah, but there were 8 videos
think.
that came
What?
out. There were 8 videos that came out. He's actually not that far off.
I'm close, right?
Very close, but I think it's the second level one of the water
Croconaw.
Totodile. Or no, maybe Croconaw or whatever.
I'm done.
Okay, so
Know your fucking. Who's that
either way,
Pokemon?
we got a whole
Remember?
fuck ton. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
We're closer in age. This
Chris
guy's
probably
young.
doesn't remember.
So basically, what we're saying is we've come a long way since that first series of reviews back in the day. But today we're talking about the Orville. We're talking about season 1, episode 11. This is New Dimensions. This is the series where we discuss the first 4 episodes of a show, or in the case
11.
or all of them,
Or 12.
depending. And then we're almost done that, so let us know what you want to see in the comments below. As we said, okay, I'm being redundant. This is like fucking 4 minutes nearly. Let's talk about the Orville. How we should probably do this and maybe structure is I'm going to read out the plot a bit, and then we'll just comment so it's less arguing and debating about what happened when.
Chris is going to try to correct some shit.
And then
It's going to get an argument happening.
30
Holden's going to be
minutes
like, no,
of-
I'm right.
then there's some random
Sometimes
tangent
Chris is right.
conversation, whatever.
All the fun and love entertainment
On the
you
last
guys enjoy.
podcast we recorded, I openly admitted to being wrong, so it's okay. So this episode starts off with some lounge music, some hors d'oeuvres. It was very reminiscent of my office party at work recently.
Ooh.
Everyone's in like the bar part of the ship, the canteen thing, whatever, where they go to meet for drinks and shit. It turns out that our engineering chief guy, who we've come to actually like and has gotten some personality, he's leaving to design
Yeah.
a fucking space station.
And like in the last episode, his friend just died, and he was all sad and shit, and like no mention of that. He's just like, "Yo, I'm leaving. Peace.
Whatever.
Got a new job. I'm happy."
And then So
Fuck
we
my
see
friend.
that, which is setting up a point, and then we cut over to Lamar and Malloy with our
Elevator
good friend
guy.
Elevator Guy. He's back. He's becoming a more prominent character. See, this is what I love, is now that we've been introduced to a little bit of the secondary characters in the show, they're going to just be naturally placed, and we're going to get to know them, and some of them may even turn into primary characters, depending on how the series develops. Probably not Elevator Guy.
But Elevator Guy is literally like a walking Family Guy joke.
He's fucking
Like,
great. So yeah, they're talking about Yaphet, and it turns out that they took a blob of him and put it in a souffle, and then the elevator guy is like just so needy. He's like, I want you guys to include me in your jokes, and he's like, and then like the scene kind of ends with, "Oh, I love jokes" from him, and it cuts. And he's like,
but he's
Yaphet's
like,
leaving.
you guys should get to know me. I'm really funny.
Yeah, it
Like
was-
that kind of.
You see, I
was
felt like
needy.
Gordon was sort of interested because Elevator Guy was like, I have pretty funny jokes, like you were saying.
And Gordon just loves jokes.
yeah,
right? Like,
and Gordon's
that's his
like
thing.
interested in that.
But like,
Gordon's got one level so far. He loves jokes.
yeah,
I liked just a little quick thing. I didn't really get the whole alcoholic reference in the beginning. When the engineer guy, he's like,
Oh,
when
yeah.
she's going to the other ship. It seems to I don't really get it.
He was kind of
What
making
was-
a joke how like hopefully I'll still be able to like
drink on the job.
Yeah,
or have,
it's
like,
kind
a
of
pop or
implied
two.
like I could do this on your ship, but hopefully I won't be able to do it there because I'm going to have to take it seriously. That's what I took from that.
Well, I
little
also kind of
moment.
got that the captain also drinks on the job.
I don't.
It was
like-
a weird joke. It was a
like, it
weird.
Well, I
kinda-
mean, we've seen the captain drink on the
No,
job.
no. I don't think I've seen him. Like, there's like moments maybe on an away mission or he's gotten drunk, but the idea is like implied that this mechanic guy just keeps a flask on his like side and just takes a swig when no one's looking and it's totally cool and everyone's just looked the other way. Was the implication of that little joke? But then he's off the show from what so whatever, he's gone.
His friend died.
Yeah. And then anyway, so Yaphet like walks into medbay in the next scene and
Wait. Did we say what happened to Yaphet?
Yes, we
Did
did.
we explain the whole thing?
Well, we
It's
explained how they admitted to taking a blob and pudding. That's as far as
a
we've
little
gotten.
bit of Yaphet and putting
Yeah.
it in the buffet.
And
right?
then right.
Which I just
And
want
then
to
they're
know
like,
how. Like
Well, they just grabbed a chunk of him.
I know, but like, how does he like?
He actually answers that question in the next scene.
Oh yeah.
So look, we didn't even make it 10 minutes.
Hey.
That's funny. So
too
Yaphet
tired
walks
for this.
into the med bay, and she's like, I don't want to deal with this shit. Go. You better be here for like a real thing. And he's like, yeah, it is. I think I lost a piece. She scans and then she kind of like asks curiously, do you know when you lost a piece? He's like, it's like you get a dull sense. He's like, I can feel like a wet spot that's not there.
It's like cold, damp spot, like dark, damp.
That does not explain my question. Does not answer my question though. He's explaining what he feels, but I want to know how he didn't notice that piece of him that somebody went.
Well, that's what he's saying.
You got to figure like, okay, so he's deep in conversation, right? So
Right.
maybe he's not aware of every little thing that's going on.
Well,
like,
okay.
So imagine I come up and I pickpocket you. You might not notice right away.
I understand
Right.
pickpocket, but we're literally
But
talking like
he's-
I came up and like grabbed
Like,
you.
I get that, but what he's saying is
Okay.
it's hard for him to tell an exact sense because it's like he's a gelatinous fucking creature. We don't understand the physics and biology of their world exactly.
let me put it another way. Someone like you're deep in conversation. Someone comes up and like grabs like the edge of your hair and like cuts off a lock. And like you don't notice because you're just like talking or whatever, but later you notice like, oh shit, there's a piece of my hair missing.
And you
Like
even
you don't
feel-
have the same kind of sense of like the rest of your hair isn't sentient,
okay, I
but
mean-
it's the same kind of thing where
And
like
you might notice the weight after. when
yeah,
you-
like you'll notice something is weird. You'll notice something is
and
off.
so that's why he went to medbay right away. He did, in fact, notice something was off. And he did, in fact, say he felt like he was missing a piece. So he's clearly aware of it happening. But he also indicates that he doesn't have, like, hypersensitivity to it.
Right.
He has a general sense of sensation. Wow, like not even 10 minutes and everything you predicted. Sid's a prophet on this show. And then...
Did I am the future.
maybe.
Okay.
And then Bortus, so she asked him that we just clarified
Right,
that point. Then
right.
Bortus walks in, of course. And then he's like, I do not feel well. That was like something I ate. And then it turns out there's a piece of Yaphet inside of Boris. And Yaphet's like, bro, you ate me? He's like, I did not eat you. And then like we find out about the whole John and Gordon did the peace thing and the food. Like he figures it out. And then Bortus ate a piece of him. And he's like, I got to go in and get it. it. She's like, well, the reality is he can do it
But
cleaner
like,
and
hold on,
safer than I can.
Mortis is so defensive. He's like, what do you mean go in and get it?
Nothing, you will not enter me. He says it like that.
Yeah.
And then
funny.
Yaphet just kind of sticks this shit down his throat, and he's making deep throat sounds the whole time, like kind of shit. And like you just pick his mouth's wide open, his shit's right down his fucking throat. And
Yaphet's just like, yo, what did you eat? Like it smells like boot down there. At least letting us know.
No, he says, is that a boot? Which I really liked because we know that Bortus can eat anything, right?
Right.
And maybe it's very realistic that at some point he was like dared to eat a boot.
Yeah.
And like
fair enough.
it's just down there. So
one of Gordon's stupid jokes.
Yeah. So I really appreciated that because I was like, this is a callback.
I missed that. Yeah, I knew it would be called back, but I missed it in the moment because I was too distracted by how ridiculous the scene was. But a good way, good ridiculous.
Yeah. I did like how they, and I guess after you explained it, they further, I guess, drilled home the point with his senses because he could smell just from his hand.
Yes.
Yeah. He's like,
so that was pretty cool.
So it's clearly like they're priming Yaphet to, at a later point, become a more prominent role on the ship.
He kind of already is. Like he's a pretty. He's been in almost every episode.
He's not a primary character yet.
He's not a primary character.
What I'm saying is they're priming him to be able to maybe position him into a primary character role later on.
He's been in almost every episode, and he's had a couple of very
his
major
own episode
plot
where
points.
Like the full scene with Claire before.
No. He's never had an episode. He's had plot points that involve him entirely. He hasn't had an episode. There's nothing that's been like him yet. He's in the background as like this.
But he's like more essential than like Elevator Guy.
Yeah. Elevator Guy's a tertiary character, right? So when you're looking at the like,
wait.
So I'm clarifying like this. You have your 7 main cast members. That's the primary role of characters. No
and then
dispute.
where would you divide Elevator Guy?
Elevator Guy's third layer,
and then.
Yaphet's a second layer character. I would have put also Engineering Guy as a second layer character, the one they just phased out. Mm-hmm. Whereas because Elevator Guy's like Lizard Guy that gets introduced later on. I know, spoiler alert. He would have been in the same third layer. Like,
no, we gotta get the sign at the bottom. Hashtag spoilers.
It's just not like that. Yeah.
Hashtag
whatever.
sorry, not sorry.
I mean, fuck. If you're watching something called this, there's spoilers, and it's this long, it's impossible without spoilers. But just characters who serve like no other purpose but to like fill the plot or be like a character, that's a third level. Second level characters still have a personality, but you're not given a lot of opportunity to see them because they're usually involved in the story, not being the center of what drives the show. Whereas Yaphet clearly could become anything. I'm certain what happened was he had like a little role. People like Syd freaked the fuck out and wanted more Norm Macdonald.
More fucking Norm Macdonald.
And that's how we ended up with Yaphet becoming a more prominent character within this. Anyway.
This segment of describing character archetypes has been brought to you by more fucking Norm Macdonald.
All right,
let's
do it. Yaphet gets his piece back. Then Bortus, in pure self-conscious mode like he does, storms off all like a little whatever, and storms off.
He's not happy.
Yeah, he's so like sensitive. Like the more we see Bortus, the more smiling. But he's just so sensitive.
I just want to say though, like I like how they portray it though, because a lot of people, a lot of the time you'd get like emotional reactions and freakouts and stuff like that. Like the whole grossness. He took his like role of commander or what is he like second in command or something like that,
or
like
third in command, I think.
He takes his seriousness very seriously,
right,
and he still was like. You could see that he's upset, but he's still like controlled.
But like at this point, it's like the 4th time they've done this exact thing with him. So I mean, it wasn't so revolutionary to me.
I'm just saying I enjoy.
I was a little bit kind of going, man, Bortus, I respect you less. Why do you have to run off like that every time? I mean, it's kind of funny, but I'd rather them actually show him being mature about the situation, But
I like because he's like really stoic and really knowledgeable, but he also doesn't get necessarily other cultures' customs.
At all.
And the thing is, I like that they're playing him up as this sensitive kind of like, it's really easy to hurt his feelings in specific moments. Because Bortus, Isaac, and Alara are my favorite characters.
Right.
Even after this episode, whatever, they get into some other people that I don't really care about. But Bortus, I really like that they're building him up to be not this like perfect example of a man. Like he has this bad trait. Not bad, but like
unfortunately, it feels very like stereotypical rather than originative to me as I watch it. Like I feel
originative.
fuck off. Like I don't feel like I feel like what they're doing, even with Alara or Isaac, is more interesting than ultimately what they're turning Bortus's character into, and it makes me nervous for him being a really central, interesting character later on. For those reasons, it's almost like they're using him a bit as a gag, which they don't have to. As I'm saying,
have to. But I mean, there's still like there's a couple moments in this episode where he doesn't even say anything. He just gives a look, and it's like the funniest part of the scene.
All right, but still, let's go on a little more. So we cut back to Kelly, and she's giving Lamar and Malloy shit. They're like, "Well, we knew he would be upset, but we didn't really care as much in the moment."
Well, hold on.
One of them is.
Yeah.
Well, John is the one who's kind of feeling it.
Say the plot, and we'll fill in after.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of took condensed versions of parts of this plot. Like, in this moment, the really significant thing is that she's giving him shit. Lamar shows some remorse. Malloy obviously does not.
Well, hang on. It's important to understand that Lamar. So she says, "Did you guys not think Yaphet would be mad?" And Lamar says yes.
But
Gordon says no.
So one shows kind of like a remorseful.
But
tone.
one is just not even conscious of the
Malloy
fact
doesn't,
that
Malloy's
Yaphet would have
almost
been
sociopathic about the situation.
Yeah. It's not even that he's sociopathic. He just didn't even think that far.
It's
like
complete
you
lack
have to,
of empathy.
You have to see they're showing their individual brain power. They're not showing their empathetic, because that's the whole theme of the episode, right? As we get into it, we learn that.
Well, I'm going to say that part of it is that like part of the leadership side of spoilers later on is the empathy, and it's showing right at the beginning that Lamar is capable of deeper thought and change, and Malloy is just going to be who he is forever because he doesn't even understand the implications of the action. So the remorse that Lamar shows in that moment that you've described in much more detail is basically that. It's showing that he has the potential to grow into something more, even in that moment. And then she pulls up the aptitude scores and shit. We don't know that yet, but she just looks at a report. It's like, holy shit, this can't be real. Cut to credit. Credit comes back. And because
you guys feel like the opening theme song reminds you of the Jurassic Park theme song a little bit?
Nope.
Reminds me of the Jurassic theme.
Jurassic
Park.
All right. So then Kelly walks into the room and hands the file to like Mercer's office. He's like, "Is this accurate?" His aptitude ratings apparently through the roofs. He's like the smartest person on board. Absolutely. Then we find out like Yaphet was calmed down. Kelly suggests that they make John chief engineer. What's funny is Mercer kind of almost chokes on his drink there. But he's like, it's a hard sell. Mercer's like, he's smart, but he kind of lacks leadership.
My favorite line there is, he fed a guy to another guy.
Which is literally what happens next. And then she's like, well,
that was Gordon's idea.
And then he's kind of like, but that just proves the point. He's not really a leader. He's a follower. And then Kelly's like, look, give him a chance. And, like, you know, as she's making the case, the ship kind of rattles. They do a lot of rattling. And then it just turns out that they dropped out of their quantum drive shit and whatever. So in that little scene that just happened there, it's basically the discussion is Lamar doesn't have the leadership experience, although being fucking brilliant, because he's kind of lazy and shows no ambition and does shit like this Yaphet stuff and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Nice. In the quantum phase, it was simply just they're going really quick at hyperspeed, and suddenly they end up hitting this.
Yeah, next.
We got to there, right?
Well, that's where we're at now. There's an anomaly. And then Malloy makes a squirrel comment, like, whatever, we didn't hit a squirrel or something like that. I don't know exactly what the comment was. And then Isaac makes a lame comment, like, no, I don't see the actual fucking scientific name for squirrel residue anywhere. And then they discuss whether or not there should be a cat, I believe, on the...
Oh, my God.
No, that might come later on.
My favorite Isaac moment
that's
so far.
You know what? Actually, that might actually come at a later point. I might be spoiling, like Chris.
It might, because...
So, yeah, then it turns out that the engine was out of alignment because of this anomaly, but it didn't do, like, any real damage to anything.
And to be fair, the anomaly is, like, it's just a black.
But they don't. That's it. They don't know what it is yet.
You when they hit it, they make the illusion that you're hitting this like clear block of something.
Right.
But in general, when you're looking at it, you don't really see anything there yet.
And then basically Kelly's like, Lamar, you should help Isaac figure out what the fuck's happening. So then as they're like walking up down, and to add to it, Lamar's kind of like, wait, what the fuck?
Yeah. Okay. So let's just fill in some things here. They had the whole conversation. They hit the anomaly. They come. Mercer and Kelly come back into the bridge, into the main place, and everybody starts trying to figure out what's going on. And then all of a sudden, as Lamar is kind of already like hinting that he doesn't want to be like leadered or whatever, just to follow up the last scene, Kelly goes and automatically offers his help. Which at this point I have a problem with that because
why?
I don't know why she's like
I have a
making
problem with it
decisions
too.
like
I wasn't gonna bring it up until
like,
a little later.
yeah, I was waiting till a little later, but even now I'm kind of just like I was just there like, why are you making decisions for other people? Granted,
it's your
job. I get it, it's your job,
I don't
but
know.
like
I'm gonna have to disagree with you. So when you're in a leadership role and you have to assess who is the right person for a position, right? And let's say I found out that you are literally the most qualified motherfucker from an aptitude perspective. I mean, you're so knowledgeable. You are the best, literally best choice. But I didn't know this previously. And you just find this out. And at the same time, that position is available. And the concern is, can you handle a serious situation? You have a very small window of time to actually figure out if this person is capable of it. So you're going to gamble. You're going to go, look, we need to see if he can handle it. Fucking throw him into it. How does he handle it? He either does or he doesn't.
So,
and that's honestly what is realistic about how you would approach it from a leadership perspective.
Right.
I agree with everything you just said for this specific spot in the episode. I also agree with what you said on a more season-long point, but I'm gonna come to that more towards the end of the episode because I have some other things to say about that based on how the episode wraps up.
I was trying to hold out till later, but
Well, I'm just saying, at this point, it actually, just from a plot perspective, it makes a lot of sense. They're clearly trying to grow
It makes
Lamar's
sense
character.
specific to this episode, specific to now we've found out that
Yeah.
Lamar is really smart. Having said that, character-wise, that whole revelation makes no sense based on previous episodes, but
I don't agree.
we will get into that.
No, I don't fully, I don't know. I feel like his character's been kind of ignored a lot in that regard, but anyway.
let's get to it.
We'll get to it.
So
We'll get to it.
he's like, whatever. So he goes with Isaac. The kids, like Claire's kids, run up and like to Isaac, all excited. You want to play Space Dragons? Blah blah blah. Isaac's like, I'm busy. I gotta do important shit. And they're like, can we help? He's like, you're small and feeble and don't possess any intelligence.
I love Isaac
Lamar's
so
like,
much.
come on, fuck, that's ridiculous. And then the kids tag along. Right?
I wrote that quote down. No, you are small and feeble, and you do not possess the necessary intelligence. Not like he's not saying it like in a way to insult them. He's not saying it with a
just
mean tone of voice.
factual.
Just, this is the fact. You are too
And
feeble.
then,
You are not intelligent enough. I do not need you. Like,
So then the kids tag along, and Lamar and Isaac go in. They walk into the room, and they walk into engineering, and Yaphet's like, whoa, 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 why is he here? Lamar apologizes for the joke, etc. Yaphet is like, I spent an hour in Portis's cause, and you guys find that funny? And the kids just start bust out laughing because it's
Yeah.
actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
And then they scan, find that there's a quantum wake, as they call it. They choose to go process data in a central computer, and they see that all the plants have died in
Well,
this
the little
particular
kid
room.
notices it.
Sorry, this
Yeah.
wasn't in engineering. It was in this room where the anomaly hit, right? And they notice all the plants are dead. And then that's about what happens in that scene. Then they scan the quantum wake shit in the big computer. They find out that they don't know anything. Mercer is like, they have been watered, right? And then she's like, yeah. And he's like, we have a guy for that, right? She's like, yeah, Plovis.
oh my
This,
god,
like,
yeah.
fucking lizard-looking dude, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, that guy. He's like, that guy. He's never a name. He's just, every time I see him, I go, hey, it's
There he
you,
is.
or whatever.
No, he goes, there he is.
And that's it. And then they have like no real clue about anything except that in a few hours the engine realignment will be taken care of, and then they can continue on their merry way. So whatever, it's just moving along. Then Mercer's in his office and Kelly shows up and he's like, I'm promoting Yaphet. And she's like, consider John. He's next in line. Consider John. Then she's like, yep, let me just say it all before you protest. He's like, he's next in line. She's like, put him in charge, see what's up, see how he's going to handle the situation. They go back and forth a little bit, fill it in later. Inevitably, Mercer caves. She kind of lets it slip anyway that he wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for her. And then he kind of asks her flat out, like, yo, is it because of you I got the job? She denies it, but he calls her out on it, and because he knows her and can tell when she's lying, she thought he deserved a chance, felt bad about how, like, you know, his whole depressive slump was her fault for cheating. And then as it goes away, he looks all fucked up and gets kind of petty. She apologizes for saying nothing over all this time, and then he looks kind of upset and petty, and that's how it all plays out.
So this is where my first major problem with this episode comes in. One, I knew they were not going to address the fact. They haven't addressed the fact yet that, oh, she didn't actually cheat on him. She was under mind control or whatever. So now they need to introduce this new problem of, she was the one who recommended him for the job, which isn't really a problem.
Oh, snap.
To be fair, that shit was foreshadowed multiple times.
I know. And I was really hoping there was going to be something more to it than that. We thought there was going to be something more to it than that originally, and there wasn't, I guess.
But like, we're at the point where it's ramping up to the finale.
I know, and this isn't the kind of ramp. Like, this whole conflict in this episode between the two of them felt really pointless, and it just felt like they needed a conflict because they resolved the other thing, which they shouldn't have resolved like that, and I was really hoping they weren't going to resolve like that, and they did. The other thing is, now she's pushing really hard for Lamar to take this position. Now, one, she was on a planet with Lamar, and it wasn't even that he was trying to fit in and be a dumb guy. He humped a statue, got himself in trouble, went on TV with no research. Like, this is not you're playing the dumb guy. This is you are putting your life in danger, and you could be approaching this in a different way. And he didn't. And she has witnessed this. You know what I mean? And she's witnessed time and time again how he is irresponsible, and he's shown time and time again as a character how he actually is an idiot.
Well, wait,
all of a sudden,
I'm gonna
chooses.
Yeah.
Chooses, yes.
Chooses.
But there's a difference.
But I want to make that very clear because
your argument isn't.
Listen. I understand the concept and where you're going from on terms that we've seen Lamar act like a dumbass. That's fine, but in terms of choosing to be an idiot, and what he explains later on in this episode.
And he does, and that's fine, except there's a difference between choosing to pretend to be an idiot and choosing to put your life in danger.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean?
How do you, wait,
I think you're making a...
Specify life in danger, please.
No, because the part where he humped the statue...
Specify life in danger, though.
Hump the statue, okay, there was
that.
That
doesn't work.
Count. That doesn't work.
That's not putting your life in danger.
After finding out what he had done, did not make any attempt to either figure out how to please the crowd.
I will give that.
Went into the lawyer's office and just laughed at him the whole way through when he was explaining the legalities of the planet. Like, if you have an engineering mind, you're not doing that.
I don't agree with you at all. I was a 21-year-old fucking moron, and then I learned from making some mistakes that I can't act like a moron. In fact, I had actions that were, relatively speaking, as consequential to, let's say, how he humped a statue and bad things happened. Shut up.
If you can prove to me that you have a genius level IQ, then I will accept your argument. I don't. He doesn't. If you do, then congratulations.
I'm fairly certain I'm maybe not there, but pushing it in terms of my fucking IQ.
Holden's pretty full of himself.
Yeah, I am. I'm fucking smart. No, but my point is I am across the board. I absorb information like a sponge. I'm really intelligent, socially awkward, don't know how to fit in, and a lot of other things that indicate I have a high IQ. Not that I am a fucking genius, that I have a high IQ. And I want to differentiate that when you are really smart does not mean that you behave intelligently. It just means that when it comes to shit like problem solving, like what a chief engineer for a ship needs to do, that knowledge set that we're talking about, etc., is something different. What you have proven is the dude is an idiot. And that is clear.
And to her, should not be fit for command. And over Yaphet, who has been on the team this entire time,
but Yaphet,
who is the clear leader.
But Yaphet,
and I'm going to bring up more problems at the end of the episode.
We also know that Yaphet is not also fit for command based on, sexually harassing Claire and multiple other things that have complaints practically put against him, and shows that he's also not...
What is he had complaints put against him?
He is...
Well, there's no actual... Hold on.
Like off the record kind of reputational shit.
In terms of us analyzing the shows, I get where Holden's coming from.
I'm saying
you can compare Offet and Lamar in a way where we look at it like, well,
like obviously not
Offet's not.
And if you look at the way that Yaphet's,
the way he's acting,
just to spoil further, the way Yaphet's esteemed by his colleagues later on in the episode, you get the general sense that Yaphet is not the most reliable person throughout the series.
But that's because he fucks up in this episode.
No, previous to this, you get the feeling that he is good for certain things because more of his size and shape, not because he's particularly brilliant. And you don't necessarily see him as...
I don't know where you're getting that sense.
I got... there's a few earlier episodes...
Kelly's promoting Lamar for the actual intelligence.
No. She's not promoting... And keep in mind, this is, again, she's not promoting Lamar. What she is saying here, and I, again, agree with her decision...
Promote is the wrong word.
What she is saying here, and I agree with her decision tactfully, because I would do the exact same thing as what she's doing, because it's not about fair. Fuck being fair if you're a leader.
It's not about fair, but it's
So what she's doing
logic.
is, you got this information that this guy, if he can live up to his potential, will be your Crosby, right? whatever. So he has the skill aptitude of Crosby, but he behaves poorly. So he's like fucking Price back when he was young and doing blow and shit. And then, or I don't know if he did blow, but partying. So he's like that. His behavior issues, but with all the skill in the world. So you look at this situation and go, what if we give him the opportunity to have some responsibility? We actually challenge him. If he lives up to that, then he's totally worthy of the promotion. If he does not, then he fails.
I want you to go back and rewatch the episode.
I watched it twice and I took
Not
notes.
this one. Go back and rewatch the episode where they're on the everybody votes
Voting
whatever
planet.
Yeah.
But-
go back and watch everything that Lamar does in that episode and then try to justify this.
I'm
for
not
me, 'cause
saying
there's-
that
it's
nobody's
wrong.
saying that he has the leadership experience right now. What has been established is that up until this
But
point,
my problem
he
is
has
that
not
she's
taken
pushing so hard for him, having witnessed that
I'm gonna tell you
firsthand.
straight up, if I were her, I would have done the same thing for the reasons of the information displayed fits up with a character type where clearly he's never been challenged or had something put forward. He's clearly bored.
So
Right? That's what it looks like.
Basically, the way that it's come down to is I get you, because as the leader that I would be, if you're acting a certain way all the time, I cannot go black and white. Even if I see that you have stating information that you're super smart, I'd be like, but you act like this. I don't care how smart you are. I get it. But if I have to, hold on. If I have to look at it from Holden's perspective in terms of like, how would a company run it? How would like a business run it? I would be like,
I gotta go one step
Look,
further.
I've been a manager.
Look, I'm gonna go
Well,
one
I'm
step.
just
On
saying.
paper,
hold on.
you can look great.
I'm just saying, like,
but your
even,
actions
even
speak
for
much
what we
louder
do
than
now,
that.
But
like,
I gotta
even for what we
go
do
like
now, if-
one step further with this. They also all treat him like an idiot because they think he's an idiot, and so he lives up to the stereotype of what people think he is because he wants a simple life.
Wait,
and
we need to get to that in this episode.
No.
'Cause I need to bring
I'm
a
saying
point
that
on
right now because it's relevant to why she's
But he
it's
chooses,
relevant
though.
to why she so drastically flipped her switch. She thought he was stupid, and then realized, oh shit, he chooses to be stupid. We need to challenge him.
Does she realize that?
Yes.
How did she realize that?
From what I interpreted of her.
From what you interpreted.
Of course, you're interpreting what you're interpreting. There's no difference than what we're doing here.
I'm just looking at the way the story has unfolded.
You're looking at this but again,
they've made this ridiculous U-turn.
But what I'm saying
and
is,
they're just kind of expecting you to infer, oh, he must be smart. But
No.
they haven't really given you any.
they said that his college physics engineering aptitude tests are off the wall
yeah,
intelligence.
in this episode, but they haven't given you. And like
Why
this
would
is
they-
such a left turn
So?
for a character,
But
and
it's
for
not
a character
that even
they've
left turn
illustrated
for
in such a
any
different
show.
way.
But that to me, it's not that out of character because they've not shown him to be a Malloy-like fucking idiot.
Yes, they have.
No, they've shown him to be a guy who acts foolish.
No.
Because we're not like we're talking.
He's
like you're,
silly. Hold on. He's silly. He's foolish, but he's not Malloy, and I will have to agree with Holden on that.
Like you're
I get-
painting
I
him
get where
like
you're
he's
coming, but
been this
not-
malicious fucking idiot who's incapable
Not
of growth.
malicious.
Because all I've said about Lamar is, as the show's gone on, he's lazy, but he's gotten smarter. He's growing. He's clearly more compassionate.
In the episode where we find out Boris can eat whatever.
Yeah.
Right. Lamar, and if I remember correctly, Lamar offers him something that's not super stupid. But Malloy turns around and was like, let me go get a bag of nails. Granted,
Like-
he could probably eat the bag of nails, right?
But-
Like, he can do it. But if you think about it, I
Doesn't
don't...
he offer him glass?
So if
No, that was Alara.
Cactus?
That was
That was
Alara.
Hold
So
on,
what is-
Syd. All we can establish from Lamar's personality type is he's impressionable, not that he's particularly stupid. I think you're making a gross assumption that he's stupid. I'm saying everyone around him treats him this way, so in that same way, you took the same impression. Now, if you found out in a logistical sense that one of your employees was a fucking genius and you were in a position where that mattered,
'Kay.
right?
Literally, at the end of the voting episode, he walks out of that room and yells, I learned nothing, pretty much.
Because he's a comic relief character in that moment. In his head,
Yeah,
he
but-
knows, and as we find out later, he knows that it's more important to fit in than to be smart, and that's his whole life.
His life was in danger that whole episode, and he continued to act like an idiot.
Yeah.
Wait.
That is the
Question.
one thing.
He
Here's-
continued
hold
to
on.
act like an idiot based
Here's
off
my
of,
question.
Like, I don't
What would
agree
you-
with that.
What
He
would
adapted.
you do? How would... this is going to be hard to ask you, but how would you act, or how would you assume someone would act in terms of confusion, fear, and not actually knowing?
Like,
Like,
you're in
you
a
go to
moment
a-
where you find out you just got arrested on a planet where the customs
You're
are so
in some
fucking
completely
ridiculous.
different world, and all you did is you went up to a statue and did this.
You sit back and listen to your legal advisor, first of all.
Well,
But
you
how
don't
do you
make
but how
fun
do
of
you
him
know?
the entire
But
time.
how do you know? Like, how can
Sydney,
like,
you say that from a perspective where it's like this, but if 99% of the planets you go to are like that, and some fucked up shit like that happens, you're
But
probably
99% of the
I
planets they
would
go
laugh.
to aren't like that.
No,
They
I would
know
laugh.
that they're going to encounter
Straight
ridiculous
up,
weird
like, I
shit.
would laugh.
seriously,
I'm not
if
even
that
gonna
They're
was
lie. I would
officers
not
on a
know how to-
ship.
Sydney, But when you consider how fucking ridiculous the moment is in that moment, I know I would laugh and make a stupid
But he
joke.
doesn't stop there.
But
he continues
He
throughout the
actually
episode.
tries to adapt. And
Imagine
keeps
I
kind of-
arrested you,
doesn't.
I
but
don't agree
imagine
with
I
that.
arrested you because you decided to have a yo-yo on the side of the street.
You know what?
That's
though,
it.
man?
That's it. Like
'Cause,
that's
like,
it.
I know that
How
there's a
silly
good-
would that be?
Hold
You'd
on.
be laughing in my face. You'd be laughing and be
Exactly.
like,
Right,
this
but
is
if
a
I
yo-yo.
then found out that the consequences were death,
Yeah,
I would
but
sit
you
back and
don't
fucking
find-
listen to people trying to
And
help
then
me.
when he tried to figure it out, he said, "Look, go be a showman. Try to get their
Wait,
case."
no,
Hold
no,
on.
hold
Like,
on,
look,
hold on, wait. Just to defend Lamar, he does. Once
Yes.
he realizes that it's death, and the lawyer does, and the fucking social advisor actually goes, no, this is serious. Lamar's like, wait, I could.
He gets
die.
up and goes, I'm a spaceman!
I
I'm a spaceman!
Specialized roles require specialized minds, and hiring a guy over loyalty in that moment is a stupid move. And every book on business and proper management says, "Fuck
This
your
is not
friends."
over loyalty. This is over logic.
And
that's what
all
I'm
I'm
arguing
saying
right now.
is what this episode's context presents is saying due to new information, this guy might actually be smarter than we thought. And then she said, let's give him a chance, and pushed heavily because in the past, Mercer's proven to be closed-minded and not willing to evaluate shit analytically. Totally makes sense for the consistency of the plot point.
Has he?
Then
Yes,
let's find out what happens
in multiple
in the episode.
occasions. Anytime he set his mind, a huge plot point is he doesn't listen to her, and as a result, when he finally does listen to her, the right decision. It's a consistent thing on multiple of their arguments.
When has that happened?
When they had to deal with now it's a stressful thing to come up with these things on the exact spot. But let's say when the whole process of establishing that she can trust him as a first officer and she's going to take the ship's duties first and everything about that, in nearly every argument it gets laced into it whether or not he should listen to her judgment on specific issues related to the ship's operations and whether or not she can segregate it, whereas he gets passionate and emotional over things such as the blue guy, where she was taking it pragmatically and he was being emotional, etc. Now the episode
And then
diverged,
she slept with him.
which was because of hormones and shit. But when
That
you
whole
look,
episode is dumb. I hated that episode. We
again,
talked
but now
about that.
you're just not even listening to my argument as you're destroying the episode. My argument is at the beginning before the.
But I
jokes-
had the same problem with that as I have with this one. So your argument is still feeding into mine.
My whole point is that it's not even out of the characteristics of the show for what it is, and it's not that weird to take a guy who might be a brilliant fucking like IQ out of the wall and give him an opportunity to lead and see what happens. And not by himself, just see what he does to handle it. It was a test. That's all I'm saying. It was a fucking test. That makes total sense given the circumstances. Like, it's so weird. Like, anyway. You guys can let us know what you think in the comments below. That was probably very longer than it should have been.
Mm-hmm.
I digress. I think it makes total fucking sense. And then, promoting.
Then Mercer's
Epic.
being a crybaby.
Yeah, Mercer's in his room and asked the Admiral, dude, is like, did this happen? She's like, yes, this happened. And we didn't need to tell you because we don't need to tell you that shit. Just fucking, we trust you now. Go fuck yourself. And then he's like, well, just good that none of you doubt it, but I doubt it myself. I agree with you. This whole fucking plot point sucks. I agree with this side of the show. Well, no, this Mercer self-doubt plot point's bullshit. The other one I liked.
Well, hold on. I just want to touch upon that. I kind of understand it. I don't think it should have been this episode. I think there's something else they could have done. But I do understand the level of now he doesn't really know if he really made it or not. It's self of pride.
I know,
it's like,
but...
Look, my
But
question.
he's
hold on.
if he fucked up, if he
My
wasn't good, he would have been
question-
fired.
My
You know what I
question to
mean?
you would be, how would you feel if somebody signed you as an artist, but it's because somebody gave you the handout?
I'd be
know.
like, thank God, that's how the world works. Please, somebody do that for me. All of you, I'm making this podcast deep down inside so somebody important watches it and hooks me up. I'm not fucking arrogant like that. I don't need that shit, personally.
But the reason I like his better than the Lamar plot point is because at the end, Mercer does turn around and go, I was being a fucking crybaby.
And at the end, Lamar kind of takes on the responsibility and understands he needs to take shit seriously.
Yeah, which I didn't... Anyway.
So, yeah, they both evolved the same way. Like, you know, it's funny. We both... Anyway, I like working with you, Syd. I don't hate you at all. You're not like Chris.
Wow.
You what?
I'm kidding, Chris. I'm kidding.
Wow.
I'm kidding. Fuck, man.
Internet people, please defend me.
Yes, they do. They defend Chris. I like
do.
Chris.
Yeah,
hashtag
they told you
Chris
to leave
kills
me.
hashtags.
Told you to leave me alone.
So
with
then
the
Lamar's
Migos.
kind of like dilly-dallying before heading into this engineering team he's supposed to lead. He's tripping out. Then Malloy, now this part I didn't like. Malloy walks by and he's like, tells him this like story about how when he was a camp counselor, he did this icebreaker where he got the kids to
Why
eat
didn't you like
gumdrops.
this?
because it's stupid. And this is where, if there was ever a point in the episode so far where you could convince me Lamar's a fucking idiot, it's why would you listen to Malloy about this stupid ass fucking icebreaker idea? Because obviously this team knows who the fuck they are.
I can answer that.
Go on.
So the reason why anybody in that position would listen to Malloy is because Lamar, who explains it a little bit later, but spoilers, he doesn't know how to be social. He doesn't know how to make friends because he's super smart, and he understands that being super smart is alienated. It alienates people because, you know, you kind of get annoying when you know everything. So when you look at Malloy, who, for you as the super smart person, and you're like, oh, well, this guy likes me, this guy likes it when I act like this guy makes friends, everybody jokes with him, I can learn from him.
That sounds familiar.
Even though you're smart enough to know you shouldn't, you're still you're it's like fucking in a domain that you don't know. Like, you don't know how to be social.
My only problem with this scene is, like, obviously this team knows each other. Why would they need to introduce facts? Unless it was to get him to know the team, in which case I contradict myself.
Lamar doesn't know the team, but Lamar doesn't know the team. And
I accept it now.
There's also, hold on, Offet. I don't think it's about the team, and they make it seem it's about the team, and I had a problem with it the second time I watched it. It's not about it. It's about Offet. And they don't Yafet, my bad. And they don't want to they want to make it seem like it, but it's about him. I don't really think Lamar had a problem with the team. I think he had a problem with
the responsibility of having a team, not knowing his team, and Yafet. I think it's all of it rolled into one.
Because there's the thing, in context of the episode, he didn't want to be a leader, right?
Right.
He didn't know how to do it. He never learned how to do it. So I didn't see it as he's taking advice from like a lower whatever. It's like his best friend passed by and he was like, "What the fuck do I do?" And his best friend gave him some honest advice, and he took it.
That's exactly it.
But it was to give out gumdrops and say a fact about yourself.
Now, the fact that he took that advice.
Yeah, it's hard. I agree.
Again, that is in character for him, but out of character for this sudden change of character.
Be like, look, if I'm going into a world if I go into a business world and HSR looks at me and says, do this, this. Yo, if it works for you, I'm gonna do X, Y, Z. Like, I'm gonna take that.
Let's say we can establish that his social intelligence is very low, but his actual intelligence is very high. And this episode's whole point is to say that we're gonna take his social intelligence and bring it here, so that his role in the show can be more important.
But that's basically it. They wanted his role in the show to be more important, so that's what it feels like to me. They gave him this thing,
which is great.
But it just feels like such a ridiculous left turn. Like, it's.
Anyway, we haven't even gotten to the best parts, guys.
I can just say I can agree with that assessment and dislike more than that it's out of character for who he is. Just that it's a strange thing.
I never said he's being out of character, but the change for him feels very out of character and forced.
See, folks, when you argue, you can still overcome and get to a common ground and understanding. # rep in the future.
# we like each other.
We do. Syd doesn't like it when I'm too contradictory.
Jury's still out.
# Holden. Good job.
Anyway, so basically Lamar goes in, hands out the gumdrops, and then the stoner dude is like, he starts telling facts. That's what I call elevator guy. Stoner dude. So he's like, I really want to eat the gumdrops, and he's like, no, you can't eat the fucking gumdrop. I said it to. Then he's like, okay, I'll start telling some facts. He starts talking and talking and talking.
Yeah, he's like,
I really like brunch.
Lamar direct.
And then Yafet's like, you know what? This is fucking stupid. And in Yafet's mind, he's like, they put this chump in charge over me.
Which, hold on. I want to talk about that for a second. I don't like the way Yafet responded.
I did that at work last year. I
understand that he's angry. I understand the frustration. I get that.
I don't think you do.
No, I do. But instead of acting like that, why not prove your point and see if the guy fucks up?
That's what I mean. That exact thing happened to me at one point, and I behaved exactly like Yafet, and it nearly got me in big trouble, and then I had to completely reformat after a while. But this is a very realistic reaction, especially if, like, I'm just saying, that happened to me. It was very unfortunate. And you don't act maturely when you find out that the promotion you've been killing yourself for, etc., doesn't actually exist per se. And your emotional response to that is like, everything's fucking futile. And then the next guy comes in and is just wasting time. That part wasn't so true. The next guy in my case was actually pretty dope. But in general, the feelings is you don't even want to accept him. And on top of that, imagine if this motherfucker's just literally wasting time, knowing there's time on the clock for what they have to accomplish, right? Like,
yeah.
I would say Yafet's reaction is 100% justified.
Yeah. I didn't hate Yafet's reaction there.
Anyway, so that was realistic and shit. And then Lamar's like, yeah, you're right, go work, and he's kind of flabbergasted. Then Lamar and Isaac are at the computer. Isaac observes that Lamar isn't really suited for the role, calls him dumb, and then Lamar notices right after some shit that, like...
But he gives Isaac a look. Like, there's this... I don't know what type of look, because it's hard for me to say this because we know that Isaac is smarter than Lamar. Right? Like, by far, we know that Isaac is smarter. But there's this look that Lamar gives Isaac when he gets called stupid or whatever, that Lamar's kind of like, and you think you're smart. Like, there's something that Isaac's missing that Lamar doesn't qualify him as super smart either.
When was the moment when Lamar said,
later,
I'm too dumb for this, and Isaac said, if you like, I can go to the...
That same, this here. Yeah. This same moment. He's like, if you like, I could
that
tell...
That didn't happen when they were going to the plants? Okay.
No. Anyway, so then they noticed that it's a doorway. Lamar notices, like, right after being called stupid. Then they believe it's a doorway heading to 2D space, and Claire explains how, because of the shape of molecules and science and shit, that when you go from 2D back to 3D, the shapes would all be fucked up, and their proteins couldn't work, and then the proteins, without protein, there's no life. Protein.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, do we see the super gross dead alien yet?
No. And then, like, the plants...
Didn't they talk about this after...
No, they have...
They saw the gross dead alien first, and they had to explain how he died.
It hasn't happened yet.
I think you messed something up here.
I don't think I did. The gross alien comes later on.
Because they don't know what's happening in the anomaly yet when the gross alien shows up. They're like, there's something there.
Because the gross alien triggers the immediacy. They still have a few hours, and they're figuring out there's an... they believe...
No, the krill ships trigger the immediacy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but the gross alien is when they figure out, because they have to get onto the gross alien ship to figure out.
But they don't know that the alien is dead yet. They don't know why. They don't know. But you're implying that they already know how things would die.
In the same conversation where they're figuring out the alien.
They figure out that it's a doorway to 2D space at this point.
They haven't figured that out yet when the
protein part is where Claire is describing that when the protons and the molecules can't expand properly.
Right. Yeah, I'm saying they haven't figured that out yet.
They haven't figured out that the guy died yet, so we're not even there yet.
Yeah.
We haven't even...
The gross alien happens first.
I guess it happens around there. It happens, like, right before that. Whatever, fuck. So then the gross alien shows up, and they're like, we don't like this guy. That's when I think they have the conversation about cats, actually.
Yeah.
On the bridge. And then, so the gross alien guy kind of is there. They advise him that there's an anomaly on the sensors. He ignores them because he thinks that they're going to confiscate his whatever.
Because he's a member of this, like, smuggler race that steals whatever from whatever and sells it at a higher price.
And then,
and he's, like, super gross and super just, like, eating the soup.
Right. Just blatant whatever. And then he goes through the anomaly. And what I noticed was it kind of, like, squishes into space. And then it kind of, like... I noticed that Chris would have commented on how amazing some of the animation was because, like, it kind of squished right into, like, the thing. And you could see it kind of going from 3D to 2D in the visuals of it.
Well, that's after, if I did want to comment, because I do, when it goes in, it's very clear. It just looks like a ship, a toy ship going into, like, a clear box. But on the outside, when it's coming out of the anomaly or this weird, like, invisible box, you can call it, you see it kind of pop up, but it's like 2D, and it's coming out of the 2D picture, but all you see is the back of the ship.
Right.
And that was pretty cool, because it's like you get this sense that all you can actually see would be the back of the ship,
jets.
There we go. My bad.
Right.
The jets, the rockets, all that stuff. You see that flame light, and then you see the ship kind of just coming out of the anomaly, and then it goes off and kind of starts drifting, because implying something may have happened. Right after the ship comes out, Isaac is explaining to everybody in the bridge that there's no power or no, like, actual life on that ship anymore. Right. So they're kind of just worried about what's going on. Mercer's calling it like, "Yo, we gotta go check it out. Let's go. Let's get it. Call Kelly. Call this. Bordis, you're in command." And then they get onto the ship.
What's the conversation about the cat, though? Because that's my favorite Isaac moment in the whole episode.
Somewhere in between this, like, we've already kind of passed over the cat conversation, but somewhere the cat conversation,
like, comes
right before the disgusting guy. The cat
Right.
conversation is the interlude
Yeah.
part right before Mercer
then
comes
they,
in because they hit the.
Yeah,
the
then
thing.
they go over to the thing and they find out that he's
But wait,
dead.
we didn't even say the line.
What is it?
So they're talking about
yeah.
pets and animals, right? And how people keep them around and they pet them,
Well, okay.
and they keep them
Malloy-
for companionship.
Malloy
And Isaac
goes-
just doesn't get it, right? Isaac's like, why would you do that? It's like for bonding and for trusting.
Although I got a question before you answer this. Malloy goes out and just goes, "I want a cat." Like he assumes everyone gets it. Now I understand that Isaac, Bortis don't understand, but how the Alara? I'm just like she knew exactly what a cat was, and I'm just like, but you're not
She
human.
understood the value of a pet.
Yeah.
I mean,
But she would have to have known what
why?
a cat was.
Why?
Like I
It was-
think Bortis knows
like,
what a pet is.
No, Bordes, it makes total sense to not know what a cute, fluffy pet is.
Maybe she knows enough about Earth history to have known
And
what cats
the way,
are.
And the
I
way
guess.
Malloy describes it already at that point was a cute, fun animal on the bridge. She's already said that.
Right.
That's all she needed. Cute, fun animal? Okay. Like, I've
Like,
seen
the only
girls
one-
go fucking apeshit over cute, fun animals that they don't even know the names of because the idea of a cute, fun animal is enough.
The only person who really wouldn't get it is Isaac, right?
Or Bordes.
Or Bortis,
Yeah.
but
This
mostly
is cute.
and
So, the two people who don't get it. Thank you.
So
Chris.
everyone, they're having this conversation about whatever, bonding, and you pet it and you feel close to, and it's like the subservient animal, right? So after everyone gets up and goes to leave,
Yeah.
you just see Isaac start petting Malloy's arm,
Are
and
we
he's like,
bonding now? That's what he says.
and it's just like Isaac sees him as inferior,
But it's like-
so it's like this would be a pet to me, a human, like, and he's just
Yeah,
petting him, and he's
it's
like,
And
"Are we-"
Isaac is so innocent. He looks at Malloy, and,
But
and
it's
are we
again, as
bonding?
we
But to be
described-
fair, Malloy did describe the act of petting as
Yeah.
what creates bonding between
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
And they did tell him he should try it sometime. And so
Yeah.
he just came over and and
But,
it shows that Isaac has a clear desire to bond with Malloy and be his friend in particular.
yeah,
But also, I like the innocence and the way that they projected or depicted Isaac's tone.
Yeah.
He was like, "Are we bonding now?"
Yeah.
And
And
like,
he's,
even
like,
though
so
he's
eager.
robotic, you can still kind of
But
hear
he's
the, like,
expressed his
innocence
clear
in it.
desire to understand humanity the whole way through #data. Anyway, then they're in the room and they're having that conversation about 2D space to 3D space, and Claire explains that I would kill all the protein molecules and blah 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 in that part, so I missed everything in between. Turns out, then the
Well, they
Krill are
also-
about to show up.
This is at the same time they're also finding out because of the 2D space. They're also finding out, and there was a part I think we may have missed,
No.
where Lamar does explain with Isaac that this is a 2D world, and then or is
I
this
think
at
that
the same-
happens later.
I think
That happens
was
later.
what I was trying to describe earlier. That they call when he notices the doorway and he figures it out, right?
Yeah.
That it's a 2D world. And then they had also found a bunch of Krill guns that were stolen by this gross guy.
Which, by the way, Alara just walks in. Alara
Holding
just
the
walks
fucking-
in with
yeah.
the box as it's a styrofoam, and it's like, dude.
Whatever, just normal joke for her.
Yeah.
And then basically that means that the Krill are coming to get their guns back.
Now,
Which the
you
pulse
would
rifles
think
look like
that
AK-47s.
this would be a great spot to have them reintroduce the big bad villains of the series, maybe?
The Krill?
But no,
Why?
you don't get that.
You get the Krill.
No, you don't.
Well, you get
you get the idea
you
of
get
the
3
Krill.
krill
You get the
ships and you
threat.
get guns.
See, I would say that knowing that the original plot line had the finale being episode 13, in that they kind of got fucked a bit. The writing here to promote John actually is better paced for a 13-episode season than a 12-episode season, which wasn't the intention. Just throwing that out there.
Sure.
And so the threat of the Krill is brought back in your mind. They have 31 minutes, then the Krill speed up, etc. Then Lamar comes up with this idea of making a bubble around the Orville that would protect them from 2D space, and they jump into the 2D space bubble. Once they then they get it all approved. Then they're going to do the work. Isaac and Lamar are struggling to make it work. Yaphet comes up with a suggestion. Lamar's like, how? Yaphet figures it out. Lamar's like, I like it when you talk dirty. And, they're bonding. They're making it happen because great minds and shape. Mm-hmm. They make it happen. They head in. And then the Krill, as the Krill are showing up, they go into the thing. They don't see the Krill inside, but they look all, like, dumbfounded and shit. You see this awesome, like, circuit board looking 2D space world.
I was
Beautiful.
really, really hoping for it to be like Super Mario World or Pac-Man or something like that.
Well,
But it's really nice to look at. It's cool.
It's really
And
cool.
it's funny because the bubble that covers the Orville right now, it allows them to stay in the 3D
Yep.
aspect
So it's just,
instead
like,
of a 2D.
flowing
So
through it
the
all
2D
fat.
world is just like a sheet of paper but you have the ship floating on both sides.
My only
the
problem
sheet
with
of, like,
this
is going through kind of like, oh man, it was just so funny.
I guess it's more of a meta problem that I have with, like, they describe this as a world, right? Like, this is a 2D civilization.
Yeah.
So
they're flying through
right?
the world.
Like,
yeah,
they're
like,
murdering,
I
like-
got that
No,
too. I was like, isn't he?
no. I would disagree with that because when you really consider how this would work, they don't exist in the same space.
Yeah, because Isaac does say that.
Because when you look at things that exist in parallel planes of dimension, but not the same plane of dimension, you can pass through each other with no conflict. We don't actually interact with each other. So what's happening is going through his pocket creates almost like a thing. So if they had gone into 2D space, normally they would have gone through it. But what kind of happened is a weird loophole where this bubble means they pass through it without actually, on a physics level, interacting with any of the atoms.
So it's like a parallel universe.
No, but to
Yes.
even further and answer the question,
As long as they're within the bubble
within
of this
like
thing.
30 or even a minute to the next scene, the bubble starts detracting and everybody
Yeah.
suddenly falls to the
And
ground.
you start to see them
And,
squishing in.
Claire and then when they get back up and finally,
Yeah,
and
well,
Holden's gonna
we'll
fill
get
it
there,
in.
so-
But Claire does state that 2D is trying to pull them into the 2D dimension.
And
Okay.
that's kind of happening.
And we're about to fill in what I
And
just
then,
said.
anyway, so then the quantum bubble keeps the third dimension out. They see the 2D life, the little bloop bloops on the thing, and then Malloy makes some really creepy thing like, what if fourth or fifth dimensions will watch me as I'm under the covers or with my hand in the sleeve of a jacket? To which Mercer's like, okay, shut the fuck up. They decide
I don't
to
know
wait,
what you're trying to allude to, but I'm going to change the subject.
and then they
I
decide.
thought of like Mr. Mxyzptlk from Superman, the fifth dimension imp. Like, I just pictured him watching.
him jerk it.
Yeah, I was like, that's weird but
And then
funny.
they decide to wait a few hours,
Fucked.
which makes sense to make sure the krill go away. So then Mercer's in the bar thing looking out at the window at the crazy world, and Kelby's like, look, can we talk? When she sits down, he asked her if she's read Flatline, a story about how shapes with more shapes, a real story, like an actual book from the 1800s. There's more like shapes has more sides, so a triangle is less important than a square, blah, blah, blah. It was a metaphor for inequality. Kelly asked her to be honest, calls him a prideful ass. Mercer's like, I just want to do it on my own. And Kelly's like, nobody fucking does it on their own. Sometimes you get help, sometimes you don't. And that's what it is. And that's it. I believe that to the bottom of my heart. I can't do shit alone. I have people that are helping me accomplish goals. Otherwise, I'd have fucking nothing.
Hashtag teamwork.
I'm not even making that many solo shits because it's easier when you have a team. Totally makes sense. So,
Squad
to your
up.
question after, would I want somebody to hook me up? Yes. It would make my life much easier, and that's how life works. Hookups happen. Nepotism sucks, but if you do benefit, it's kind of lovely. It's not right, but it's lovely. So then, basically, this scene concludes with Mercer kind of being like, I have to figure it out on my own, and leaves even, whatever. Then Isaac is like, I'm seeing a small fluctuation in the bubble. Everything kind of gets fucked up. That's where they kind of crash and head between dimensions, and everyone gets nosebleeds. And Mercer is
And
like...
you also see, quick, as the bubble starts to deteriorate, it starts from the top, and like the top part of the ship kind of goes down.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
Then they're like, okay, well, Lamar comes up with another great idea. Like, look, why don't we use the shuttle as like a tow for the ship?
Hang on. The reason they have to come up with that is because now the door is closed. They
Yeah.
cannot get out of there.
And they have 21 minutes to escape or something like that, and they have to get like 40,000 kilometers, which isn't that much in space, but still significant if they don't have proper engines. So they put the shuttle, and Lamar's like, well, we could do this thing where like we Doctor Who it is the best way. So like the house in Doctor Who looks small, but inside it's really big.
It's because what they did is, and the theory, and I understood it after I saw it, the bubble that they put around the Orville, they made the same bubble, but they put it inside the transporter ship.
But then
But then the transporter ship, when it comes out of the Orville and it goes in front of it, it doesn't.
it gets squished down.
No, it doesn't. It stays with it. Just elongates or like it stretches out.
What I'm saying is the
other
outside
bubble.
of the ship gets squished down, but the inside of the ship is protected and stays
But
in the same
that's where
form.
that's what I'm trying to explain it. That's where I'm confused. I think the reason why they put the bubble inside the transporter ship is because it won't. You're right. Won't get squished down, but it'll
It's because
allow
they
it to
didn't have-
also pull the bigger bubble around the
They
Orville.
made it because the ship would still work and everything, right? That the issue was, it's not that the ships wasn't work in between. It's just that at the end of the day, to minimize energy use, they used the minimum amount of energy that would needed to do it. So they outside gets flattened down, and however it looked was just whatever. But the goal was they just needed to sit in the ship and make sure that they could drive it through and tow it. And then
Captain's like, I have to go.
And then
do this.
and board is volunteers, and Lamar has to be there to make sure it works. So they're in the shuttle bay and they're loading up shit, and Lamar and Isaac are bantering. Yaphet shows up and is like, and then as Yaphet leaves, the other guys who are working in the ship, the engineering crew, are like, yeah, don't fuck this up also. And then Lamar enters his leadership role and is like, yo, we're all a team, fuck off, blah 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 blah.
But he's also like, I fucked that up, not Yaphet.
Yeah, he took his responsibility. So Yaphet gave me the idea. I approved it. Da 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 da. It's on me. But you can see that he kind of has some self-doubt. He's like, now you'll see that I'm not meant to be a leader, is what he's like yelling at everyone.
Yeah.
While being a great leader, ironically. And then all's good. The shuttle takes off, and then we see the thing get flat, like Chris was describing. And then what's funny about this is Lamar was like, you could have some nausea. It's going to be bad. And Mercer's like, I'll be okay. Cut back, and Lamar's just fucking puking, and Mercer's just kind of like staring at him like, are you okay, buddy?
It's a funny moment.
Because it's funnier when you see it, because it's just, whatever, a little irony. They're on their way. They tow the Orville. And this is actually where I wrote in my notes. If not, yes, Chris would have commented now on how great the filming was or whatever. Lamar is like, all seems A-okay. Mercer's like, you did good, and then asked him why he hides his brain, and now's when Lamar explains, well, I come from a colony where being smart was a bad thing because you get ostracized, and in order to not feel like a social outcast all the time, I chose to act a fool because it was easier to fit in based on where I come from.
Planet Earth.
No, it comes from like back-ass redneck land, basically, where being a smart intellectual is detrimental to
But I felt like
there.
he was explaining that he alienated
by
people.
being right all the time.
Like, he alienated people on that planet, and
Because
so
he
he
was
kind of
smarter
fell
than
into
them.
the habit of whatever.
Exactly.
But anyway, this doesn't correct my previous complaint,
I'd say we've done it to death.
but
right.
it still doesn't correct it.
I agree. We agree to disagree.
Sid's all about the moral aspect of it.
And I'm about the pragmatic.
The principle.
I'm about the story, goddammit.
All right. So
it
then,
makes sense or not.
as they're
Listen, if you're
then
like
it gets
this on 11
shaky
series
again.
of MASH, I'll hell
Okay,
no.
relax. Then Mercer
we're doing
tells
it.
them that when it's
I'll
done,
fill in all the plot holes.
Mercer tells him that when it's done, he wants him to be the chief engineer because he's now convinced he believes in him. He understands why Lamar acts stupid. Just kind of like, here's the opportunity, don't fuck it up. Then everything gets shaky again. They're very close to the end, but it stops working. Lamar fixes some shit. They decide to bring it to quantum speed. Lamar's like, don't do it, sir. Mercer's like, fuck it. We have no choice because otherwise we're all going to die. Do it. They go back into normal space, pops out the hole. Turns out they weren't too far away from where they were. We see them with some tissues up their nose after the ship contacts them. Lamar's like, can you bring in a cleaning crew because he just puked, etc. Then Kelly's drinking from a cup in her office. I don't know why I wrote that part down, but she's drinking from a cup, and he apologizes, and it means...
Oh, I
hold on.
wanted...
I'm just gonna. I'm almost
Yeah,
done.
yeah, yeah.
And then it means everything to him. She's like, I know how, I know that it's stupid. Blah blah blah. He admits he was whiny, and he should have just said thank you. They kind of bond. He goes in for what seems to be that follow-up kiss he was looking for, but he clearly says, you know what, I don't care, and kisses her on the cheek, showing they're just friend. The look on her face is like, goodness gracious, I wanted him to kiss me on the lips so bad, like it was almost leading up to. I wrote that I would keep watching, and then at the last scene, because, would we keep watching? I would, even if Syd wouldn't. And then Lamar walks in as Lieutenant Commander John Lamar, showing he's been promoted. And then he's like, yo, if we get the efficiency up to blah, blah, blah by the end of the week, we can take off early and get shit-faced, which is, I would love to be that boss. That sounds awesome, to be that guy. So that's how the episode kind of ends.
Just to reinforce the kiss part and the look on Kelly's face, I don't think we touched upon it, but about 25 minutes ago into the episode, when they first start getting the shakes and they're having a conversation about Lamar the first time when they first encounter the anomaly, Kelly and Mercer are sitting on the couch and there's a shake and Mercer ends up on top of Kelly. And it's that kind of awkward scene where it's like, oh, I'm on top of you. Ha, ha, ha.
Yeah.
But I do want to make a point. There is a quick second where you can see both of them kind of lock eyes together and you're like,
Yeah, it's very deliberate.
then they turn,
But again, because now that the whole you cheated on me is no longer relevant, because
I don't think it
what
is.
it's saying,
I think him being still cheated on is
but I think what
still why he's
hold on.
acting petty.
So
at
I
certain
think
times.
at the end of the day, there's something a little bigger. even though they both recognize that cheating isn't necessarily the problem, the cheating was like the result of a lot of other problems. So even if the cheating at the end of the day wasn't the biggest deal, that doesn't mean their relationship was proper and is worth pursuing.
And I hope they address that, because it really
feel
looks like they're just going to get back together.
Because I
in the next
actually
episode.
think, based on how Mercer kissed her at the end, that in Mercer's head, it's still over and there's no reason to change the good thing they have now.
Yeah.
And in her mind, she wants more. So I do think the plot point's not over, but I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised with how Seth over here, Seth MacFarlane's nominated for a Grammy this year. Good on you, Seth.
Good on you, Seth.
Big
Seth
band.
Seth MacFarlane is an amazing musician.
Awesome. So yeah, anyway, that's how the show ends.
Okay, bye. Have a good night.
Not quite there, but yeah, I don't know. Do you have more to add to this episode?
You have more to rant and bitch and complain about?
I
this
do. I
episode?
mean, look, it's not that I hate the show. It's funny, but it seems to, like, there are some glaring, it's really uneven. There are some glaring. There's some things that it just doesn't know how to do yet. Like, it doesn't know how to add any real tension yet.
I agree.
There was no real tension in this episode either.
But
hopefully we're building to something. I mean, it's still very episodic, but in a way that they kind of ignore earlier episodes, choosingly, selectively.
I don't think they do. I don't think
I
they do.
also would have to
disagree.
say that in the current era of 13 or 12 episode seasons, very often season 1 is trash. Even Breaking Bad, season 1 isn't that good compared to what came later. So often they take the whole first season these days to just set a whole bunch of context so that when you come in with season 2, you're swinging hard. And that's what I'm really hoping for.
I really hope season 2 is great.
Because I think that season 2 is going to justify what we've had to deal with in season 1. However, I've found it to be quite pleasant.
It's pleasant, it's funny, but what I feel like is there are things that Seth MacFarlane has been able to get away with in Family Guy, American Dad, Cleveland Show, 1,000,000 Ways to Die in the West, Ted 2, whatever. That he can get away with in comedy and comedy film that he can't really get away with in a serialized drama.
But I want to hold on. I want to just say one thing.
I would say that
as we know, Star Trek, as far as I'm concerned, and Holden's made it very clear, they try to touch upon a lot of social issues. Now I get it that Star Wars, Family Guy, blah 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 blah, and all that other stuff. I can't get behind the fact that a teddy bear is fucking talking. I don't live in the middle of the West.
Look,
I am not. Hold on, wait. I am not three cartoon
shows. We do not
shows.
need to run through the
So
fucking
I'm like,
entire thing each time. What we're trying to say is, I think, like, at the end of the day, the Family Guy formula is stale and old in a lot of platforms, and I find that you like parts of it. I do not like Family Guy. I think taking the same jokes on Family Guy and applying them to a Star Trek theme for me is amazing. For you, it's over.
It's old.
Drawn.
It's old, but it's also
completely novel for me.
But the thing is for me,
I never even liked it on Family Guy that much.
It hurts the overall development of the show, and they haven't really focused on story yet. They haven't.
I would say that they have taken a very Star Trek approach to it. Honestly, Star Trek is paced like this. There isn't this just giant, granular, overbearing arch. It never happened in any real Star Trek.
But you're telling me things happen to characters and they just forget about it from episode to episode, like
for a while, yeah. It doesn't really
that. Maybe that's why I never got into Star Trek,
because
that bothers me in television in general.
I mean.
And in books and in any
I'm going to say
medium.
that, honestly, it's not a clear story arc show. So what happened on episode 2 might not need to come up again until season 3.
But it should still be relevant for
I would
character.
Say, but the character development of each person is growth.
To me, it feels
Alara
really
never went back to being doubtful again. And then all these people have gone up, and I think that you're right about the plot choices are seemingly whatever, and maybe there were contract issues, and the engineering guy had to leave, and they had to think on their feet, and had to fucking come up with a solution.
That didn't even bother me,
like all of that kind of stuff, right? But all I'm saying is I have yet to see an example where a character's gone backwards, which is basically what I would take from what your statement is.
Not backwards, but weird turns that feel very forced. In every episode I've seen something like that.
I would say by around, maybe there were contract issues or something. It's the first season.
But that's not an excuse.
I would say that it's kind of like it's happened to multiple shows. Look at Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Contract issues had to change Vivian. So sometimes you just roll with it, and you have to just write it in and hope that your audience is willing to just kind of move past it for a minute and see what comes next. Is kind of like, so if they do some weird choices in season 1, they're still learning. I'd say that this in general has been a quite pleasant season. And the overbearing story season arch of season 1 is I don't actually know, but at
Like,
an episode level, it's been great.
Pleasant, yes. Not my favorite show by far.
I think that they have all the potential to take a season 2 and start off strong and run a really like interesting fucking plot line through it. But you're right. Season 1, they did nothing but introduce context and character growth and character growth and context, and that's the whole season has been that.
But okay, I'm going to stop arguing about this because it's going to turn into a thing. I've said whatever I need to say in past episodes too. Like, I'm not just...
No.
This isn't a one-time thing. This is like every episode I've had one or two of these problems.
You don't like when they just make left turns out of nowhere for what you feel just is to drive the story forward.
Yeah, that's one thing.
I personally don't care about that as much.
Okay, so you don't care about story. That's fine.
No, I care about the story. I just think that Star Trek in general is not about season arcs.
It doesn't need to be about a season arc.
And that at an episode level, it's been pretty consistent. I mean, obviously, it's kind of weird that he got a pass on that big fuck up he did, but his fuck up was relatively weird, Anyway, thank y'all for watching this episode, which is longer and more full of arguing. We appreciate you being here. Let us know how you feel about this in the comments below. And remember, there's that contest where you could win by liking and subscribing and adding your thoughts on the episode. And then, so we appreciate you because this is all for you. Anyway, we'll catch you next time and whatnot. And if you tweet Chris, he'll read it on the camera. And it's been about 3 weeks and nobody's tweeted him, so...
Aw.
Tweet him, please.
Somebody tweet Chris.
He needs love. Chrometopia or some shit.
I'll even get whoever's editing to throw it up onto the screen so we can read it off as well.
It's funny because he's going to be editing.
Yeah, he's going to learn, but it's really going to probably be me if you tweet him next time. All right, bye, everybody.